Rolando here for Abediona. We are here in Edinburgh, Scotland, which is a city with a lot of history and unique architecture. And for the next few days, we're gonna be doing a lot of fun and interesting things. So yeah, we're going down the road. Okay, so we are at the Raeburn this morning, and I am going to get the full Scottish breakfast. John Gilman sausages, black pudding, haggis, Ayrshire cured bacon, potato scone, tomato confit, flat mushroom, beans, choice of egg. I'll get the choice of egg scrambled. Okay, we'll see how that tastes.
Well, this looks
Okay, this is the full Scottish breakfast. The John Gilmer sausage, the black pudding. Here is the haggis, the potato scone. This is the Ayrshire bacon, the tomato confit, the flat mushroom, and the scrambled eggs. All right. Here's a bar here. Circus Lane is considered to be the most scenic street in the United Kingdom. This is due to its cobblestone paving and its mews-style houses, which used to be stables with living quarters for servants and horses in the 18th and 19th centuries. During the spring and summer, this street has many flowers and hanging baskets. And that structure there used to be the Church of St. Stephen's, but now it is St. Stephen's Theatre. Here is a closer look of St. Stephen's Theatre. And this is the end of Circus Lane. Stairs and stairs, layers upon layers of stairs. And then this building here. This is a formal attire here. That is the statue of King George IV. That over there is the steeple of the new Church of Scotland. In the distance is the Melville Monument. And this is the building of the Royal Society of Edinburgh. Okay, I haven't seen this in a long time. This here is the barber shop pole. This represented a time when barbers actually did surgeries and bloodletting. The red represents the blood, the blue the veins and arteries, and the white the clean bandages. This is the barber shop pole. We are here at the Christmas market.
Yok değil ya.
This is the Elephant House Cafe, the birthplace of Harry Potter. And this cafe is in Victoria Street. Which was the inspiration for Diagon Alley in the Harry Potter series. Okay, we are here at the Elephant House Magical Cafe. This is the birthplace of Harry Potter. And we are going to order the haggis bonbons with red currant jelly, the Scottish cheese board, and the smoked salmon open sandwich. All right. Okay, this is the smoked salmon open sandwich. This is the Scottish cheese board. And these are the haggis bonbons. That looks good. This is the grave of Tom Riddell at Greyfriars Cemetery. This is the name inscribed in the grave that inspired J.K. Rowling to come up with the character Tom Riddell, which turned out to be Lord Voldemort. We're gonna check out St. Giles Cathedral, which is over here. It's really a beautiful building. We can't go in because there is a service going on, but we can look at the beautiful art here at the entrance. Look at all these statues here at the entrance of St. Giles Cathedral. There's a lot of details in those carvings. In front of St. Giles Cathedral, there is this statue of a gentleman with the name Walter Francis Montagu Douglas Scott. That's a mouthful. But this is again beautiful statue with a lot of detail, very ornate. It has these deers with shields in front. Here is another view of St. Giles. by the architecture here and the mixture of the new with the old. This is the parish church of St. Cuthbert. And over there, on the other side, is Edinburgh Castle, up there on Castle Hill. In the parish church of St. Cuthbert, there is a memorial to the Reverend David Dickson, who was a very accomplished scholar and theologian. The statue shows him blessing children. And further up, there is a sundial with the Latin inscription Vivite Fugio, which translates as "You live, for I fly." This reminds us that we should enjoy life, for our time is short. The parish church of St. Cuthbert. And here we are at the burial grounds of the parish church of St. Cuthbert. And here is a grave that has a skull and crossbones. And this is Memento Mori. This doesn't mean you're gonna die, but it means you have to die. You have to die to transition to the afterlife. And here at St. Cuthbert's burial ground, the weather is so humid that there's a lot of moss, and in this particular grave, the moss has basically grown over all the information in the gravestone. Look at that. Sacred in the memory of John. You can't read it very well, but I've never seen this before. The moss growing on the tombstone's inscription. Here at the St. Cuthbert burial ground, there is an interesting structure. I'm gonna show it to you. It is back there. That structure is called a watchtower. And this watchtower was needed because back in the early 19th century and before, there were people that would rob graves. They were called resurrectionists, and they would dig up bodies that were buried recently and sell them to medical doctors for dissection, because medical doctors at the time, the only bodies that they could work with was those of people that had been executed. So they didn't have enough bodies, and they were paying these resurrectionists, these body snatchers, they were paying them to get them fresh corpses so they could do research and dissection and so forth. So these watchtowers were built, and men were paid to keep watch over the graves in the cemetery to make sure that people buried there were not stolen. And all this was rendered obsolete by the anatomy act of 1832 that allowed medical doctors a much wider access to deceased bodies. So these watchtowers and other measures that were taken to prevent body snatching were made not necessary. This is the monument to Sir Walter Scott. He was a Scottish novelist, poet, and historian. The monument was made in 1884 and the central tower is 200 feet high. This is the second largest monument in the world to a writer. Scott is known for novels such as Ivanhoe, Waverley, Rob Roy, The Heart of Midlothian, and The Bride of Lammermoor, and for poems such as Marmion and The Lady of the Lake. The monument at its base features a statue of Scott with Maida, one of his favorite dogs, by his side. Scott is regarded as the inventor of the historical novel and is an important figure both in Scottish and world literature. I am here on St. Andrew's Square in Edinburgh, and I am sitting next to a statue of a beloved children's book character in British literature, Paddington Bear. And look, he's eating a sandwich. That makes me feel hungry. All right. Here next to St. Andrew's Square is the statue of James Clerk Maxwell. He was a famous physicist and mathematician, and his research unified light, electricity, and magnetism into a single entity, as described by his theory of electromagnetism. And at the base of the statue are some of his most famous equations. Thanks to the research conducted by Maxwell, thanks to his discoveries, we have things like television, radar, radio, and cell phones. And here in St. Andrew's Square, it's a landmark monument of Edinburgh. It is a monument to a prominent and controversial Scottish politician of the late 18th century, Henry Dundas, 1st Viscount Melville. The monument is 150 feet high and was completed in 1827. This is the Water of Leith. And up there is the Trinity Church, next to Dean Bridge. This is another view. There's the Trinity Church, and these are the arches of Dean Bridge. There is the Water of Leith. These are huge. Look at that. Okay, I'm gonna try something. Let me see if this works. All right. This here is St. Bernard's Well. This structure was built over a well. It was built in the late 1700s over a well that was believed to have healing powers. People came here for centuries to drink the waters of this well. And this is St. Bernard's well. It's a bit cold here.